In this video, we are going to go through neutral spine and the 4 exercises. We'll be going through all of this in detail, so I highly recommend you watch this video first. Then I will be providing you with another video that shows a 1-minute run-through of these exercises to follow along. I recommend that even once you start watching that video, that you come back to this technique video every now and again to absolutely make sure that you're doing everything correctly. The first thing we're going to start with is neutral spine. So I'm going to stand up to demonstrate this. We want to make sure that for our spine, because everybody's is shaped a little bit different, that we understand what neutral is. And basically the easiest way to explain it is that your ears, shoulders, hips, knees, and ankles all form a nice straight line. And then no matter what your back looks like, you will be in your neutral spine. So we start off by straightening the knees. So we kind of lock those knees out. You're going to feel a little bit of tension in your thighs. Then we want to squeeze our glutes here, and we want to rock the hips forward a little bit. So a lot of us end up with our hips back here with a very tight hip flexor from all of that sitting in this position for a long period of time. What we want to do is we want to use the glutes to squeeze and rock those hips up into neutral. So now instead of being back, our hips are underneath our shoulders. So we've got those knees and the hips in line. Then we stand up nice and tall, making sure we don't pop the rib cage out and lean back, but that we squeeze our abs a little bit and drop that rib cage down. We take our shoulders, we pull them back and down, and we don't need to be extremely squeezing them back here because you see this will pull me out of proper posture. I just want to have them squeezing together a little bit the shoulder blades, dropping the shoulders down away from the ears. And then finally, I want to make sure that I'm long and tall at the back of my neck, and I've also retracted my chin a little bit as well. Then you'll see now that the ears that may have been out here will fall into line as best as possible over the shoulders. Now again, not everybody's spine is the same, and some of us do have quite a bit of forward posture. The important thing is that you are doing your absolute best to always hold the most neutral position you can, even if it does not look perfect. So, straight legs, use the glutes to rock the hips, drop the ribs down, shoulders back and down, retract the chin, lengthen up the back of your neck. And then we can take this into a seated position by simply sitting up tall in your seat, making sure your hips aren't too far back, but that you've rocked them under just a little bit. We don't need to flatten that low back, just maintain its neutral curve like it is when you're standing. Tuck the ribs in, shoulders back and down, and long up the back of the neck, retracting the chin. So this is the position we're always going to try to hold when we are doing our exercises. And ideally, this position, just a little relaxed, is the way that we want to try to hold our back at all times. The first exercise we're going to do is called the Egyptian. It's quite simple. What you do is you sit up nice and tall. You take your 2 fingers here, push them against your chin, lengthen up the back of the neck, and then push that chin back. So we're actually using the muscles in the back of our neck to pull the chin back, and you're just giving an extra little assist with your fingers. You bring it forward, you'll feel everything stretching in the upper back and in the back of your neck. And then we want to push back and retract and hold that position for about 3 to 5 seconds. Forward, retract. Also, we want to make sure that we're lifting a little bit with our chest, so we're kind of pushing upwards here. Not so much that our rib cage pops out and we get a big scoop on our back, but just that we feel that we're not caved in, but rather we're very tall in the chest. That's going to get those upper back muscles working. So this is the Egyptian. The next exercise is called arm abduction. This one is very simple to do as well. Assume your neutral spine position, put your arms out front, take a look to make sure you're not going to smack your hand against something, and then keeping your shoulders down and your head nice and tall, you pull back and squeeze your shoulder blades together. Common things that will happen here are ribs will pop out. You need to make sure you keep those abs tight to keep those ribs down. Your head will come forward. So again, we just retract the chin and lengthen up the back of the neck. And the shoulders will shrug. So we want to make sure we keep those shoulders down and away from the ears. And you can see that this is a very important point. The shoulder blades squeezing together and the shoulders down away from the ear. We come forward, we retract, and we squeeze. Forward, retract and squeeze. Now in your posture pack, you'll find one of these red bands. So this way we can add a little bit more strength, work to it, by having the resistance of the band. So we sit up nice and tall, exactly the same thing. You'll have to play around a little bit to see whether or not you can hold the band doubled over like this, or you have to have the band held singly. Just make sure that there's a little bit more at the bottom than there is at the top, or you're going to end up pulling on the bottom rather than the top. So once we know where that is, and you'll just have to know by trying, you pull open, squeeze your shoulder blades together, and come forward. Pull open and hold for a couple seconds, and come forward. Always making sure that you're remembering the neutral spine. So are the ribs popping out? Is your chin coming forward? Are you shrugging? We need to make sure that all of these things are absolutely not happening. The next one we have is called the 90-90. So from a seated position, the arms are forward, we have our neutral spine, we pull back and squeeze our shoulder blades together, then we pull our hands back like this. Again, watching out for these things that might happen, we need to make sure that we keep shoulders down, ribs tucked in, and our chin retracted, back of our neck nice and tall. Here, forward, back, like so. And the final exercise is called a wall angel. Now, I prefer that, if at all possible, you do these exercises standing up. Now, I understand that in order to make sure they're actually performed, maybe you'll do them sitting down sometimes. But do your very best to stand up and do these exercises, since it's much better to be standing more often than it is to be sitting all day. So, the final exercise, the wall angel. You assume your neutral posture. You bring your hands up like this. What we're trying to do here is we're trying to squeeze those shoulder blades back in together, but still maintain our neutral spine. Then imagining that the back of your hands and your forearms and elbows are touching a wall, you keep pushing back, and you bring them up overhead, and you bring them back down to that original position. Making sure you're always pushing back that little bit. You may never be able to get full contact up at the top. It doesn't matter. The important thing is that you're constantly improving and or maintaining the mobility that you have. And those are the 4 exercises and neutral spine.